Hey, my name is Gaia Athena, and in this series of videos, I'm bringing you my 2020 reading statistics. This is part 1. So, anew for the year of 2020, partway through 2020, I decided to make a spreadsheet that would compare information from the different years that I have had data in. And this was lots of fun to make. So what I'm going to show you in this series of videos is, of course, the statistics of my reading in 2020, but also some comparisons to earlier years. As you can see, here is the start of my spreadsheet. So I started recording data about the books I read in 2013. Well, I actually started in June 2012, but back then I only wrote down the title and the author and not a whole lot else, so that's not actually much data that I can use. So we start on 2013, but as you will notice later on, some of the data is missing because throughout the years I started to add more and more things that I recorded as I read books. So for example, here with original language of the book, this was not something that I tracked until 2017, so that is just left empty. But that will become more clear in the graphs as I show them to you. And same for original publication years, for example, in 2013, 2014, I didn't record that at all yet. So yes, anyway, I will just start to show the graphs. I'm just quickly going through this because I am quite proud of how it turned out in the end with the colors and all of that. Another note as well that there is already 2021 in here because I did not save a version before I added 2021. I do have an older version, but that is not fully worked up to where it was before, just before I added 2021. So we can just, in some of the graphs you're going to see there will be 2021, but it's currently all still set to 0 because I don't want, like, we're in February 2021 at the moment, and I don't want to. Yeah, I'd be a bit weird if there was just like a little bit of data in there for the books that I've read so far this year. So I've just kept it at 0 for now, and then that will be filled in later on. So as you can see, I don't know, it depends on your screen size, I guess. I have here all the years so far, so 2013 up to 2021, and that's where it then pulls the data from. And this data I then copy paste from the spreadsheets of that specific year. Alright, let's get into it. This first graph shows you the amount of books I read in each year. So on the very right in purple we have 2020, and in 2020 I read 302 books. And as you can see, 2021 is empty, just as I said before. And then these are the other years. So I think I did pretty alright in 2020. So in December 2014, I became a member of my local library. So the books read for 2015 and 2016 in particular are quite high because I borrowed a lot of library books, and there was of course a time limit for having to give them back. So I read a lot of books those years, also because I read a lot of children's books, pictures. Anyway, I did not go to the library at all in 2020 because we're in a global pandemic. But I read more than in the years before, than 2017, 18 and 19. I think this is in part that in order to escape from all the happenings, I hid in books sometimes. And secondly, I bought a house in the beginning of 2020. So, and we were doing it up. And so there were some times where I was at the house but waiting for something. But we didn't have internet at the house back then because, well, we didn't live there yet. So I wasn't gonna go and pay for internet if I don't live there yet. So what I mean is I did quite a bit of reading then because, that was really all. It was DIY or reading. Wasn't that much else to do at that point. So yeah. So yeah, I'm pretty happy with that total. So far in 2021, it looks like so we're about half February now, and I haven't read that much yet this year in comparison. But that's all right. But I mean, 2021 is probably going to be lower again. And this graph shows you the amount of pages I read per year. In 2020, I read 78,487 pages, which is pretty good, I thought. It is higher than the few years before it, but I also read more books, so that makes sense. It is lower than 2015, 2016, but again, I read more books those years, so. And here I have combined the previous two graphs. So the column bars, if that's the right word, that are in color are the amount of books read per year, and then the pink line is the amount of pages read per year. Yeah, I just thought we can compare it a little bit, and well, I just thought it was fun to look at. Okay, so in this graph, I have plotted the amount of new to me books that I read per year in combination with the amount of rereads I did per year. So the new reads are in blue, the rereads are in orange, and combination is grey. There were a couple of years where I read a book, for example, like an omnibus or something that contained something that I had already read and something that I hadn't read. But that's not that interesting, really. Now, this is done on a scale of percentages, so that means that the bars are all the same sizes across the years, but of course the amount of books read is not the same, as you can tell, hopefully, by the numbers. And in 2020, I did quite a bit of rereading, by the looks of it, about 15%, if I am estimating that alright. Which, that's quite a bit, and it is definitely more rereading than I did in 2018, 2019. I think in 2020, with the kind of strange year that it's been, I found it comforting to reread some of my favorite books. Then this graph shows the format of the books in terms of physical versus digital. And in 2020, I didn't read that many digital books. By digital books, I mean ebooks. And not just ebooks, but also, for example, free short stories that you can read on an author's website, and physical books. I would hope speaks for itself. That's like a paperback, a hardcover, stuff like that. So in 2013, as you can see, I read quite a few digital books. That was the year that I, in the beginning of 2013, I think, somewhere, I bought my Kindle. And in 2013, for at least half the year, I was traveling to university, because that was like the last, 8 months, let's say 7 months to my university. So I would bring then my Kindle and read books on that. But the percentage of digital has declined over the years, as it has really become clear to me that physical books have my preference. So I do read a bit on my Kindle, but not lots. And then, of course, on occasion I read a free short story from an author's website or stuff like that. I do still have books on my Kindle that I do want to read, but I just gravitate more towards physical books. So now we get book source in a bit more detail. So the blue bar is owned books, so books that I bought or was gifted, but that were on my shelves, that I read. and then orange is the library website is grey, and others is yellow. By others I mean books I borrow from others. So for example, when I borrow a book from my partner or my sister or my parents, that's classified as borrowing it from others. As you can see, I went a lot to the library in 2015, 2016, and also somewhat in 2017, 18, and 19, but not at all in 2020 because global pandemic. I hope to be able to go to the library again, let's say in the last third of 2021, if hopefully lots of people will be vaccinated by then, including me, because I would love to go to the library again, but not until it's safe. And website are then like 3 short bits that you can read on author's website. So yeah, in 2020 my reading was almost exclusively my own books, and then a few, well, by looks of it, 10 books that I got from other sources. So yeah. Thank you very much for watching this part 1. Part 2 should be up soon. Thank you very much for watching. Leave a comment if you like, and I hope to see you in my next video. Bye!